Hello and welcome to Arnie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Shadow of Shepherd's Chine. The Isle of Wight, with its rolling green hills and windswept cliffs, had always seemed a place of tranquil beauty to Holly Arnold. She'd recently inherited a weathered cottage overlooking Shepherd's Chine, a jagged ravine that cut through the landscape like a scar. Villagers spoke of its beauty, but their hushed tones suggested more a veiled warning, perhaps. Holly dismissed the superstition as idle chatter, eager to escape her chaotic life on the mainland. She wasn't afraid of folklore. But the first night in her new home unsettled her. The wind keened through the cracks in the windows like a lamenting spirit, and the waves crashing against the rocks below sounded unnervingly like muffled screams. Holly shook off her unease, chalking it up to an overactive imagination. That was until she noticed the shadow. It wasn't hers. It couldn't be. She stood stock still in the moonlight streaming through her bedroom window, watching as the shadow shifted. It elongated unnaturally, sliding across the walls until it pulled in the corner like spilled ink. Holly's breath hitched. She blinked and the shadow was gone. The next morning, Holly ventured into the village to gather supplies and ask about the shadow casually, she told herself. The villagers exchanged wary glances when she mentioned Shepherd's Chine. Stay away at dusk. That's when the shadow emerges? Holly asked, her skepticism laced with curiosity. A remnant of the old ways. Long before the churches, before the Romans even, the people here worship something else. They offered sacrifices to appease it. Some say the shadow is the priest. Holly forced a laugh. Oh. The woman's thin lips pressed into a grim line. Believe what you will, but mind yourself when the sun dips low, that evening, as the golden light of day surrendered to the indigo hues of twilight. The air was heavy with an almost electric charge, and the sea below churned violently. She brought a flashlight, a notebook, and an iron dagger she'd found among her late aunt's belongings, a relic she'd kept for its curious craftsmanship. The first sign was the silence. No birds, no rustling leaves, not even the whisper of the wind. Just an oppressive stillness that made Holly's skin crawl. Then came the shadow. It seeped out of the ravine like smoke, coalescing into a form that towered over her. Its shape was vaguely human, but its edges flickered and warped as though reality struggled to contain it. 2 pinpricks of crimson light gleamed where its eyes should have been. Ah? The voice was a guttural snarl that reverberated through the Chine. Holly's throat tightened, but she forced herself to stand her ground. I'm not afraid of you. The shadow chuckled, a sound like splintering bones. Ah. Suddenly, memories that weren't hers flooded her mind. She saw ancient villagers clad in animal skins, their faces painted in blood. They chanted as they dragged a struggling figure to the edge of the Chine. A knife flashed and the sacrifice fell, his scream swallowed by the waves below. Holly staggered, clutching her head. Why are you showing me this? The shadow's form shifted closer. The pact must be honored, blood for protection. Holly's grip tightened on the iron dagger. With a cry, she lunged, driving the dagger into the shadow's chest. The impact sent a shockwave through her arm, but the shadow recoiled, a deafening howl tearing through the stillness. The crimson lights flickered, then dimmed. The shadowy form writhed before dissipating into a plume of smoke that the wind carried away. In the days that followed, the village buzzed with rumors. Some claimed Holly had banished the shadow, others whispered that it was only biding its time. Holly remained silent about what had truly happened. She'd won, for now, but the memories of that ancient sacrifice lingered, an unspoken warning. Each night the unease grew. The silence before dusk became suffocating, and the villagers avoided her gaze when she visited the market. The iron dagger remained at her side, but Holly couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. Once she awoke to find faint smudges on her bedroom window, marks that looked eerily like handprints. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Holly's curiosity overcame her fear. She returned to the Chine, carrying a lantern and the dagger. The ravine loomed darker than before, its depths obscured by a creeping fog. As she descended the narrow path, whispers surrounded her, soft and insidious. Why return? A voice hissed. Holly's pulse quickened. And I need to know what you want. The fog parted, and the shadow emerged once more, its form sharper, more defined. The crimson eyes blazed. You carry the blood of the priestess who betrayed us. Holly's mind reeled. Betrayal? Priestess? Her aunt had always been secretive about the family's history, but this was beyond anything she'd imagined. I'm not her, she said. Oh. The shadow advanced, tendrils of darkness reaching for her. Holly raised the dagger, its iron blade glinting in the lantern's glow. This ends tonight. You are mistaken. With a roar, it lunged. Holly's scream echoed through the chine as she plunged the dagger into the swelling mass. Pain seared through her hand, and the ground beneath her trembled. The shadow howled, its form unraveling into tendrils of smoke that spiraled skyward. The whispers faded, replaced by the distant crash of waves. Holly collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. The lantern's flame flickered, casting jagged shadows on the ravine walls. The silence returned, deeper and more oppressive than ever. Holly left the Isle of Wight soon after. The cottage remained untouched, its windows dark, its doors locked. But Shepherd's Chine was not forgotten. The villagers whispered of the woman who had challenged the shadow and survived, though none dared approach the ravine. And as the years passed, those who ventured too close to Shepherd's Chine at dusk claimed to see a figure standing at the edge, a shadowy guardian watching over the scarred land. Some said it was the priest, others swore it was Holly herself, bound by the pact she could never fully escape. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.